The one thing that John and I, if nothing else, we can offer the Second Amendment, and showing the hobby and the fun of the hobby, and the educational side of the hobby. And that, I think, strengthens the Second Amendment, and many of you do the same thing, and I think that's what we have to offer. I used to talk about that pretty much in the radio shows, about just setting a good example. Hopefully I set a good example. I think 99% of the time. I might slip now and then, but if we set a good example for people, people see us at the range and being responsible with our firearms, treating them with respect, not being, I don't know, not being a scary person, for one thing. Now, some people are just naturally scary, I guess, but I think we just need to set a good example and show the fun of shooting firearms, and expand the hobby as much as we can. And the other side of that too is sometimes we don't want to act like something we're not. But I know when I was before videos and coming up as a shooter and being in different professions and working in a publishing industry and in education and everything else, I always thought it was important, knowing how some people are, and you know what I'm talking about, to be careful, soft pedal your hobby a little bit at first, and then as people get to know you, then you feel free to talk about it. Hopefully you can talk about it wherever you work, and with your relatives and whatever you do. Again, as I've said before, and now that shooting is much more mainstream, that's not so much an issue. I don't think hardly anybody has to worry about bringing up firearms at a family reunion or in a crowd. Now, where you work might be a little different. People a little more on edge about that maybe, but in general, you're not look, whoa, that guy has guns. And it was almost getting to that point in the 70s and 80s sometimes, but wow, it's so mainstream now. But you still want to be careful. And I used to tell students, I had a gun club where I taught, believe it or not, a gun safety club for several years, and one thing I always told students, and these were mostly 13, 14, 15 years old, you need to, especially as a young person, and anybody, but show responsibility, exaggerate that. If you're around firearms, really exaggerate the safety. Make sure you don't give anybody anything to worry about because there's still so many people out there that equate firearms with violence, evil, right? Death and all that sort of thing. And you and I know, if you're watching this, you watch our videos, you're on board with knowing that firearms probably are not violent, right?